Hey guys, you know I'm always looking for some different types of targets to shoot at, whether it be steel, static targets, or my most recent TAT 3D targets. I'm of the opinion that if you always shoot at the exact same targets all the time, you begin to condition your mind and your eyes to only look for that and feel like it's a natural indicator to shoot your gun at. So in the event you actually have a real threat, it's so different because you've only been shooting at one target that it may slow you a little bit and not feel as natural and normal. So I feel like switching your targets up a little bit allows your mind and your eyes to be more open to different targets. This new target that I have in from Action Targets, the PT Scout, is a really cool setup. This thing, it's very portable. That's probably the biggest benefit that I see of it. And it breaks down into very few pieces. It's light and it's very stable. Let me show you. Putting the thing together, you'll notice that this brace actually is interchangeable both sides. I guess that makes it easier to assemble, faster to assemble, and maybe if you wore one of these ends of it out from using it a lot, you could always flip it over and use the other, so you're getting twice the amount of surface area that you're going to wear out. But what's cool is you simply insert this base into the feet. Now I noticed that if you just turn the feet upside down and lock them into place here, you enter that first foot tab into the hole and the thing locks right into place, as you can see. So you simply duplicate that on the other side, use the locking pin that comes with it, simply slide it through the rear hole, and it's going to lock both of these feet in place. And at this point, this thing's totally portable. This is probably the biggest part of the unit right here. Now, these feet are really cool. One thing I noticed about them is the way it's built. More of the metal, the stabilizing foot that's out front, that's actually going to receive the lead that's bouncing down from the angled target, more of the metal is aiming upward. So it's got equal strength because it's got a lot of metal here, but instead of putting more of it flat on the ground to where you have more of a risk for ricochets from that lead going down, they've angled it up. So you still have the same amount, it's just that it's not as much surface area that's susceptible to that ricochet. I like that. That's forward thinking. That's what you get when you deal with a company like Action Target. These guys have done this before. They've been around the block. They actually have engineers that do their jobs. Then after that, you take a 2x4. This 2x4 does not come with the kit, by the way. Grab your 2x4, put it in here, and it simply slides into the base that easily. Now, after that, you want to take your target bracket and you simply slide it onto the top of your 2x4 here. Now, the cool thing is the way the plate slides into this, there's very little wiggle room for this plate bracket or the tab of the plate to slide in this plate bracket. So what that does is that minimizes the swing and the movement of the target whenever you're shooting at it. Let me show you. A lot of the steel that I use will come with this bracket right here that seats down on top of a 2x4, and the 2x4 typically stands straight up. Then you have this wing that comes out here where your bolt, that is a loose fitting bolt, actually hooks onto your steel target itself. So there's a lot of movement going on right here. This thing can swing this way, forwards and backwards. On top of that, with this bracket here being completely vertical and no slant to it like this PT Scout, what happens is whenever you hit it with a really high caliber or a heavier piece of lead, it's prone to rocking backwards, and when it rocks backwards, this is rocking and the post is rocking itself. Well, once it rocks back, it's going to rock back forward again. So with rapid fire succession, you're probably going to have this thing bouncing so much that eventually, many times when I shoot my videos, the thing falls over. A lot of times it falls down on its face. That's not going to happen on the PT Scout. Let me show you. Okay, this system right here definitely is a little bit more stable. You'll notice that my 2x4, instead of being completely straight up and vertical, it's got a slight lean forward. That's going to make that center of gravity farther over here, which is well out in front of where the foot already is. Very little foot in the back here, but it's not necessary, because if something were to hit a high caliber or anything like that and pushes on this thing, it's hard. I'm not just going to tip it over by pushing it like I could one of those other targets. Again, it leans forward. That's why most of the foot is out front, because if this thing did rock backwards just a hair, there's no room for it to fall over going forward. Again, this plate is set at just the right place to where it doesn't allow that to happen. Now, speaking of the plate also has no room to move. There's no momentum that can be generated with this plate moving around. It can't move side to side, and it can't move forward and backwards. The way this thing was designed, with this tab from the target being pressed up against this 2x4 of this mounting bracket, doesn't give this thing any movement. So it's not going to rock forwards and backwards with rapid succession of shooting. There's just no room for it to. Therefore, it never gains any momentum of rocking the target backwards and forwards enough to where it finally falls over. It's just not going to happen. Now, that sounds good, right? Let's shoot it and see if it actually backs up what I'm telling you. Now, today I'm loading up my 115 grain Armscore full metal jacket. Not a huge hunk of lead, 115 grains, but enough to where we can at least get rapid succession here. And I may have some 45 in here too. I'll run some 45 through here as well, and we'll see what that does. But again, first we're shooting 115 grain Armscore, and I'll be shooting out of an Archon Firearms Type B pistol. So really cool pistol there. We'll be doing a review on that very, very soon. All right, guys, we're at 10 yards here. That's the recommended distance from Action Target for this PT Scout. This particular PT Scout is made of AR-500 steel. It's rated up to, according to Action Target, 45 caliber pistol rounds. Now, I know I've shot some rifle rounds at AR-500 steel before, and it held up just fine. They do make an AR-550 steel target, very similar to this. That is good for rifle rounds. But again, this is the AR-500, rated for up to 45. And again, guys, we're at 10 yards here. One thing I want to pay particular attention to, notice the lack of movement of the target. Again, I'm not going to get that rocking motion and that momentum build up as I'm shooting fast. I'm going to try to hit this thing pretty quick. If you notice, there's not a lot of movement. To the point where you're not even sure that you're hitting it sometimes, because a lot of times you're so used to that visual of hitting steel and it's rocking all over the place. Sometimes you'd have to time your shots to make sure that you don't hit it in the wrong time and you knock the whole thing over. This thing's barely budging. So the 9mm was certainly no issue here as far as rocking the plates. 45 caliber, much bigger hunk of lead. Shooting in my FNX TAC tool 45, something like that. 45 caliber. Let's see if this thing rocks at all here. I mean, very little movement. You see what I mean? I'm 230 grain bullet here. All right, clearly the 45 didn't seem like it made much of a difference in terms of the rocking of it. But I feel like I need to give you guys a little bit better angle so you can really focus on the target and the lack of movement on that target. So I've set my camera up over here so you guys can get a bird's eye view of that target. Here we go, 45 caliber Armscore 230 grain round. Look at the steel, how little it moves. You guys know I like shooting steel. I really enjoy it. I like the reactive nature of it. And for the sake of full disclosure, I did not buy this particular target, this PT Scout from Action Target. They sent me one to try out. But I will tell you this, I will be purchasing 2 more of them. I like shooting my steel in 3s if I can. It's just I don't do it a bunch. You notice in my videos, I don't shoot a lot of steel as far as having triplets out here because it's such a pain. If I'm out here shooting by myself, I've got to reset my targets. In a lot of cases, like I said earlier, the ones that you do have set up that are not meant to be reset, they'll fall over. They tip over whenever you shoot them, so you are resetting them anyway, even though they're set up to not have to reset. This one here, not a problem. I can see the portability of them being, number one, a massive advantage, but also the fact that once you put them, they're done. They're not going anywhere. Great little target, the PT Scout by Action Target. Again, I'm going to get 2 more of them. You'll see a total of 3 in my videos coming up very soon. You paint the plate if you want. You know, I've blown the Action Target logo off of there. But a very cool setup. You could probably set these things a little bit taller, maybe to get more of like a torso height shot. But if you do that, just remember you're going to be sending your target more forward of the center of gravity on this thing. So at that point, it might be more likely to rock slightly backwards and maybe tip over forward. So there's probably a really good sweet spot. I find that this 3 foot piece of 2x4 that I have right here is perfect for it. I think you could easily get away with a 4 foot because it's not that dramatic of an angle, but I probably wouldn't go much more than a 4 foot. So yeah, try them out. It's the PT Scout by Action Target. I'll get 2 more of them and hopefully you can hear them ring a little bit.